Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, whenever the fuck you're watching this episode. It's another episode of Backyard Blitz brought to you by Backyard Sports Media. And we had the Super Bowl episode. We have arrived. We are here. We are at the summit. And some folks are already saying it's rigged, Gary.
Yeah, we have reached the finish line. It's Chiefs Eagles. It's not the most popular of Super Bowl matchups, but we don't always get what we want, so we will suffer through it. And I feel like there's going to be a lot of people tuning in because they hate either of these two or both, and they just want one to lose more than the other. And then you'll have the fan bases of both teams tuning in, and then the rest of them will be there for the commercials and the halftime show.
Oh, no doubt.
Yeah, Dan, we're almost there. Super Sunday, not the matchup we wanted, but it's the matchup we got.
It's the one we got. It's going to be electric. These are still two really good teams. The Eagles are stout this year. They've had kind of a weird season where they were even considered to be kind of down and out, and lo and behold, here they are, taking over the NFC East, taking over the NFC, and now the only thing that stands between Kansas City and a three-peat.
Yeah, for sure. We're either going to have history, or we're going to have greased light poles and fire throughout the city of Philadelphia. I don't think this is a great matchup for Kansas City. I know a lot of people all week have been saying, like, I don't know how you bet against Mahomes in January and February, and I get all that. And I used to be the guy that said, like, I'll never bet against Brady in the playoffs. But man, this doesn't feel like a great matchup because of exactly what my dad's asking about. The Chiefs are not great against the run, and the Eagles are the best team in the league, running the ball, turning it around, and handing it to their running back. That offensive line is unbelievable. And Kansas City, like I said, is not necessarily all that good at stopping the run. They had issues against Buffalo. Buffalo just bad break here, bad break there, made a mistake. Whatever happened in that game happened. And I think, and I told an Eagles fan this last week after they beat Washington, I think there's a real distinct possibility that Timmy Smith's 35-year-old now, or 37-year-old record now could fall in the Super Bowl. Timmy Smith, for those of you who don't know, don't feel bad about it. Relatively unknown guy, really had one game in his career that mattered, and it was the most important game of his career. He ran for 204 yards in the Super Bowl that Washington beat up on the Broncos. Same Super Bowl that Doug Williams started. He was the first black quarterback to start and win a Super Bowl. But Washington also erased the largest deficit in the Super Bowl until 28-3. Scored the most points in a quarter against Denver, and Timmy Smith was a big part of that. He broke off 204 yards, and it hasn't been matched since. I would not be surprised if Saquon Barkley, on the back of a couple of home run runs, broke that record in this Super Bowl en route to what could be an electric Super Bowl. This is a good matchup. It's two good teams, but I don't think it's a great matchup for Kansas City.
Definitely not a great matchup for Kansas City. I mean, I think you've coined that phrase this season that I really like, and they've been the most beatable dynasty we've ever seen, or this year. So it's it's actually pretty. I can't believe that we're here.
Yep, we are here. I look at it on the other side of the ball too. Mahomes and company are going to have some trouble moving the ball against this Eagles defense. I know you don't bet against Patrick and you don't bet against Andy Reid figuring it out, but they don't have the weapons that they can just rely on the offensive side of the ball anymore. It's going to have to be Patrick being Patrick, and he's going to have to be a magician. He's going to have to really figure this thing out. And I know I'm picking the Eagles. I'll go ahead and throw it out there right now. I'm picking the Eagles just because of the matchup. I don't think they're going to be able to stop the run all that well. I don't think they match up super well with that offensive line. And I don't think they match up very well against this defense. Where does Patrick Mahomes struggle when he gets pressure? When pressure comes right up the middle. When he can't step up and through pressure, he is gettable. And the Philadelphia Eagles have two of the best interior defensive linemen in the league. Jalen Carter is on an unbelievable run right now with as much pressure as he's been able to put and just disrupt games in the playoffs, especially. Jordan Davis eats up double teams. Jalen Carter beats double teams. And Zach Bond's had an all-pro year at middle linebacker there, just eating up tackles because he's got nobody to block him because of those two monsters in the middle. And then the secondary for Philly has been very, very good. Vic Fangio doesn't let you get behind him, and they're very physical underneath with Darius Slay and now his name's going to elude me, but the one of their rookie defensive backs who's been very, very good this year. I tried really hard to talk myself out of picking Philly. I tried really, really hard because, like I said, I betting against Mahomes, I get it. You shouldn't do it in January and February, but I don't know what the path is other than Patrick just being a magician and finding plays. I don't know how they beat Philly. I don't know where they match up that it's a strength outside of Mahomes. And that may be enough. I don't see the path.
I feel like I had this conversation about Kansas City with Buffalo. And then once they won, at that point, I realized, okay, we're just going to be a victim to the system of whatever the fuck is the design of whatever's happening, right? So there's a part of me that is kind of like also giving in to the idea that this is already the 3 Ps already, like the parade gear has already been purchased in Kansas City, sure. But taking the tinfoil hat off and just trying to be as objective as possible here, my pick is Kansas City. And it's really because of Patrick. I trust that Patrick Mahomes is going to be able to do what needs to be done. I trust in Xavier Worthy. I trust in Travis Kelce's ability to get open whenever he decides to fucking get open. I mean, I do trust in the offense of the Kansas City team, but there's no doubt that they have their work cut out for them. And if they thought Buffalo was difficult, that Philly defense is different.
Yeah, for sure. And I get it. Dude, betting against Mahomes isn't the smart play. Scott Van Pelt put it kind of perfectly. Like he said, like, I did it last year. I bet against him and I sat there at the end of the game. Like, how stupid was I to bet against him? I'm just not going to be that guy again this year. I just look at this matchup and I don't know. They're going to have to force Jalen Hurts somehow to make mistakes and make Jalen Hurts be the one that has to beat the Chiefs. I don't know how they do that. How do they stop Saquon Barkley without leaving AJ Brown and Devontae Smith on islands? And who wants to cover them on islands? Nobody.
Yeah, exactly. I'm confident that of all teams that we've seen against Kansas City in the Super Bowl, I'm confident that the Eagles are the team that will beat them. Like, they can. It's there.
Yeah.
100%.
Worthy and Kelce are going to have to be great. Mahomes is going to have to be great. The defense is going to have to be great. Chris Jones is going to have to absolutely eat. But I said this about Buffalo in terms of like the team that they're built to beat. And it showed against Baltimore. Like they kind of struggled they were able to score offensively and get out ahead of them. But without those turnovers, it could have been a very different ball game. That Buffalo was built to beat Kansas City. Buffalo wasn't built to beat Baltimore. They weren't built to beat Philadelphia. Kansas City has been built to beat AFC West teams. It's been built to beat Buffalo. It's been built to beat Cincinnati. This Kansas City defense is not built to beat Saquon Barkley. And I just don't see it. I don't see it. I think he's going to have a monster day. For all of you degenerates out there, I'm all in on his props. I'm going over yards. I'm going over 1.5 touchdowns. Give me 2 touchdowns from Barkley. I think he's going to hit his longest touchdown, probably over 45 yards. I think he's going to have a huge day. I think we're going to be talking about his performance for the next 40 fucking years.
Whoa. That's a lot. That's a lot, Gary.
Yeah.
I don't know that damn.
I think he's gonna put on a show, man.
I don't want to knock the great. I just feel like that's such a huge knock on Kansas City.
Yeah. No.
There you go. No regrets.
I don't know how that defense matches up against this offensive line and against Saquon Barkley. I just don't. James Cook beat him up. If you put James Cook and Saquon Barkley in a room and told me which running back you wanted, which one you picking?
Right. Yeah.
Right? Like, James Cook's a great running back, and he fits in Buffalo, but you're not picking him over Saquon Barkley.
Not once.
No. James Cook's mom isn't picking him over Saquon Barkley. I think Saquon's going to go nuts, and that's how Philly wins.
Yeah, I mean, listen, we could absolutely be in for a historic night for Saquon. There's no doubt. That kid is the one to do it. He has had the year. Obviously. Yeah. So Andy's pick was
Kansas City.
He was Kansas City as well. So
yeah, I'm on an island.
Very likely sitting on Victory Island here. If he can hang on to it. If we'll have to see if Irish Patty shows up with the luck.
Yeah, for sure. I get it. You don't bet against Pat. You don't bet against Andy, but
what do you think about from the coaching perspective here?
Edge Kansas City for sure. I just think that Philly's got. Yeah, I think he's in for a big day, and I just think Philly's got the matchup. I don't think Kansas City wants to stop the run. I think that defense has been built to rush the passer. As long as Philly doesn't get out of character like a lot of teams tend to against Kansas City, I think Philly is going to take this, and I don't know. It's going to be close. I don't know. We'll see. It's going to take a big effort from Mahomes and a big effort from Kelsey and Worthy. Worthy's a gadget guy too. Like, that's one thing I told a lot of like Bills fans, because of the trade obviously that landed Kansas City Worthy. Like, you weren't going to do the same things with Worthy that Andy Reid is doing with Worthy.
Right.
He's a gadget guy. So who cares about the trade? You've got to get him the ball in space. You've got to get him in motion and try to get him loose, because he's not beating defensive backs off the ball. He's just not. He's not beating them by running good, crisp routes. He's a guy that wants to be at full speed, get him the ball, let him run down the sideline. I don't know that he's going to be able to do a lot of that against Vic Fangio's defense, because they just play a very kind of soft shell. They trust their defensive front. Brandon Graham's going to be extra motivated. He announced that he's retiring after this game. I don't think they're going to be able to get guys like Worthy loose. Just don't.
Well, I mean, I can certainly appreciate the confidence in it. I don't have confidence in either of these teams, and to be honest, and I don't want either of these teams to win.
Right. Can the Meteor win this time?
Well, I'm not really sure what all we wanted to talk about after this, but I did want to at least get to the most important part of our episode before we did. And so for those of you guys who are tuning in for the first time, we appreciate it. We're a veteran-owned podcast, myself and Gary serving together in the Navy, and we dedicate every episode of our podcast to a fallen service member. In our Folds of Honor sponsor segment, we call our Salute to Service. This episode is going to be dedicated to Army Chief Warrant Officer John D. Smith. He was 32 years old from Nevada, and he was assigned to B Company, 5th Battalion, 158th Aviation Aviano Air Base, Italy. He was killed in a UH-60 Black Hawk crash on February 23rd, 2003 in Kuwait. Army Chief Warrant Officer John D. Smith. We have the watch.
We can maybe talk a little bit about the award show that's going on right now. We haven't gotten to MVP yet, but Saquon actually just won Offensive Player of the Year. Patrick Surtain, actually cornerback for the Broncos, won Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Patrick Surtain?
He's a fucking stud, dude. His dad was a stud. He's a stud. He's unbelievable.
No. I mean, just at the pick for the Defensive Player of the Year.
I think I like it. There wasn't a guy that really set the world on fire with sack number this year.
Right. TJ spent some time injured. And
yeah, nobody got to like 20, 21 or anything like that. So I like it. He's a stud. You just don't throw at him. He's pretty unbelievable when it comes to his ability to cover in a league that has neutered that position. Like it's a position that gets more and more rules that make it harder and harder to play that position. He's a stud, and I like it. I like the pick. Give it to somebody who can cover on the back end instead of just giving it to pass rushers every year.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I mean, you got to diversify. I mean, just like you can't expect a quarterback to be the offense, the MVP or Offensive Player of the Year every year. Can't have it.
Sure. Speaking of salute to service that we just did a moment ago, George Kittle won the Salute to Service award. And Jaden Daniels was announced as Offensive Rookie of the Year.
Of course. Of course.
The most open and close of the awards of the night.
Unanimous.
Yeah.
Was it going to be anything else? Let's just be honest.
Yeah. Josh Allen has actually picked up a bunch of steam since the show started that he's going to win the MVP. He went from like a 50% chance to like a 90% chance. So seems like all indications are that he's going to win his first MVP.
Really?
Yep.
It's funny. 3 weeks ago, we were all pretty confident that
Lamar was going to win it.
By just default, the way that things washed out last year, he was probably going to have to be the MVP this year based off of that trajectory.
Yep.
Lo and behold, tides turn.
Yeah.
Table turn.
How the turntables have turned.
How the tides table. Man. What an offseason. And like just in the whole world, sports world has been on fire in the last couple of weeks. And then these interviews that we're seeing, I don't know if you've seen them, but like Jameis Winston is doing interviews, which is
he's living his best life.
Dude, that's good for football, period. That man, regardless of whether or not he ever wears pads again, he should always have a future in football media. That man belongs in the sport. We need him.
Just put a microphone in front of him.
Exactly. Because he's a little bit more articulate than Marshawn, but he's equally as entertaining.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
A little more business professional, if you will.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, let's hope not. I don't want to feel grimy after a fucking game.
Fucking world on fire if we start seeing controversial flags.
Yeah.
It's going to get spicy real quick.
Yeah, for sure. Let's hope not. Just keep it clean. Let the players play the game. They got a shitty fucking to start this 3-peat run. They got a shitty fucking holding call 2 years ago. So let's fucking hope not.
Either way.
Yeah,
man. What else do we got? Short episode, short week.
Yeah, I think that's really it, man. The big game's here, and hopefully we'll have plenty to talk about after this game. Next week's episode should be pretty fire.
Yeah. When do they announce the Man of the Year, Walter Payton Man of the Year?
I'm not sure where that falls in the order. of the awards. I'm not sure. It is all going on tonight, though, so we will know tonight who wins that.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, something else we can add on to is Super Bowl talk next week. Well, guys, short episode, but we certainly appreciate you guys tuning in, and be sure to check in with us next week as we debrief the Super Bowl, the end of the 2024 NFL season as we know it, and preparing for the off season and the upcoming 2025 season in the NFL. So this is going to be the big show. Can't wait to talk about it with you guys next week. Be sure to tune in and join us. If you're talking basketball, be sure to check out Buckets. They just finished rapping right before us. Check them out next Thursday night. If you watch baseball, watch Rosenbaggers. Check out last season, new season coming up. If you want hoops, there's hoops. You have options. You have Tailgate Trash Talk. You got the whole sports podcast network, and we appreciate you guys, every single one of you guys that watch. Be sure to like, subscribe, do all the things. I'm not good at reminding you guys to do that, but we're going to do it anyways because I'm a good trier. So from all of us here at Backyard Sports, thank you so much for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Peace.